It's 11 p.m., and Jake is lying in bed, scrolling through his bank app for the third time tonight. Not because anything's wrong, he just keeps checking it. Like the number's gonna change if he stares hard enough. He's got a decent job, no crazy debt, and still there's this low hum of dread every time he opens that app. Meanwhile, 3 states away, his dad is asleep by 9:30, has been putting the same percentage into the same retirement account for 22 years, and hasn't thought about his bank balance in weeks.
Here's the thing. These aren't 2 different personalities. These are 2 different economic realities wearing the same species skin. And what's wild is, the gap between them isn't really about discipline or work ethic or kids these days. It's about a handful of numbers that quietly flipped upside down between one generation and the next, and almost nobody sat either of them down to explain it. I'm Sean, and I spend an unreasonable amount of time thinking about money and why it messes with people's heads the way it does. If you've ever felt like you're doing everything right and still somehow behind, stick around, because I think this one's gonna click for you. And hey, if it does, a sub helps more people find this stuff. So picture Jake's dad at 28. He buys a house on one income. One! His starter job, the kind you'd now call entry level, covers a mortgage, a car payment, and still leaves room to put something away. He's not rich, he's just not underwater. He complains about money the normal amount people complain about money, nothing more. Now picture Jake at 28. Same effort, arguably more education, a job that pays more in raw dollars than his dad ever made. And he's doing math in his head at midnight, trying to figure out if he can afford a 1-bedroom without a roommate. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but isn't this just the economy is bad? Yeah, we've heard that one. Sure, but here's where it gets really interesting. Because the economy is bad isn't actually the mechanism. It's way more specific than that. Everybody grew up hearing the same script. Work hard, save a little, buy a house, and the house takes care of you. That's the whole plan. It's practically folklore at this point. And for Jake's dad's generation, that script was roughly true. Not because they were smarter with money, because the starting numbers were completely different. Here's something that might surprise you. Your brain doesn't actually process "I earn more than my parents did" as good news if the cost of the finish line moved faster than your paycheck did. Psychologically, what matters isn't your income in isolation. It's your income relative to what a stable life costs. And when that ratio breaks, your brain reads it as danger, even if the numbers on paper look fine. That's why Jake can have a good salary and still feel like he's failing. His brain isn't broken. His math environment is. Let's put real numbers on it, because vague feelings don't convince anyone. In the late 1980s, a starter home cost around 3 times the average yearly salary. Jake's dad bought his first place for about $95,000 on a salary of roughly $32,000. That's a stretch, sure, but it's a climbable stretch. Put down some savings, get a normal mortgage, and the monthly payment eats a manageable chunk of the paycheck.
Now walk into Jake's world. That same starter home in a comparable area runs closer to $380,000. Jake makes $68,000 a year, genuinely more than double what his dad made in raw dollars. Feels like he should be ahead, right? But that house is now over 5.5 times his salary. Not 3 times, 5.5. Do the monthly math, and it gets worse. Back then, a mortgage payment might eat up 20 to 25% of a paycheck. For Jake, running the same kind of loan on that $380,000 house, he's looking at something closer to 45% of his income, just on housing. Before food, before a car payment, before literally anything else. So it's not that Jake spends worse than his dad did. It's that the finish line moved out from under him while nobody updated the instructions. Now, this isn't about blaming his dad's generation, and it's not some doom announcement that nothing's possible anymore. Older generations dealt with their own brutal stuff. Insane interest rates in the early 80s, way fewer safety nets, tougher access to credit for a lot of people. Nobody's had it easy. The point isn't who had it worse. The point is the rules genuinely changed, and pretending they didn't is what keeps people stuck, feeling like the problem is them. So here's the shift that actually matters. Stop measuring yourself against your parents' scoreboard. That scoreboard was built for a different game. The goal isn't do what dad did. The goal is understanding the game you're actually playing, and playing it on purpose instead of on autopilot. That starts small. It's not about hitting some giant number. It's about building a cushion, even a thin one, so your brain stops living in that 11 p.m. panic scroll mode. Once there's a buffer between you and disaster, decisions stop being made out of fear and start being made on purpose. Then it's about being deliberate with what comes in. covering the essentials, building that cushion. And only after that's solid, letting extra money start working for you instead of just sitting there or disappearing into stuff that doesn't move the needle.
This isn't about becoming someone who never enjoys their money. It's about becoming someone who isn't quietly panicking every time they check their balance.
So there you have it. Jake's not behind. Jake's not bad with money. Jake's just running Dad's playbook in a completely different stadium. Once you see that, the guilt starts to lift. And what's left is just strategy. And strategy you can actually work with. If this made something click for you, stick around. There's more where this came from.